Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Forecast. In today's video I'll be reviewing a crucial six-pointer relegation game between Manchester United and Burnley. First of all, let's give a congratulations to United for winning against the mighty Burnley. Well done, fair play to you lads. You're off the mark against Burnley. What a team they are. This really was a relegation match to watch between two sides who were desperate to stay in this division. I have no doubt that these two sides are going to be down near the bottom come the end of the season, with the likes of Lyle Foster and Jadon Anthony scoring amazing goals away at Old Trafford. So after Manchester United's mighty win against Burnley, they move into ninth place. Wowee. Ninth place. That's unprecedented for this United squad. And I really think that is some achievement by Ruben Amorim. If they didn't win today, however, they would have been down in 15th. And I generally think you start to wonder, are we actually in a relegation battle? If you look at the teams that are behind them after that, you've got Newcastle, Fulham, Villa, Brighton, Wolves, all teams that could actually realistically finish above United last season, as they did that exact thing last year. And that's when you start to wonder, how can United get out of this issue? Well, first of all, I think the 3 points today were actually really important, because it means I think you start to believe more about, could we get into Europe and not, are we actually going to go down? Because I do think the squad is actually all right. If you exclude the keeper and that midfield, I think it's a decent team. So what they need to do, they need to reinvest another 150 million like they do every year and buy a keeper and a midfielder. Maybe you shouldn't have bought all your money on a left 10 and a right 10 where you already had Bruno Fernandes, who's now been played out of position. Seems pretty stupid if you ask me. But anyway, do what you do, United. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm going to start to give some credit to United now. I actually think they started well, considering that they just lost to Grimsby. The crowd was up for it, the players were up for it, and they really should have opened the scoring earlier. They obviously had that contentious penalty that was disallowed. I do believe this actually was the right decision. Why I would have disallowed it for is I think the contact was outside the box and he dived into the box. So in my opinion, that isn't a penalty. It was obviously disallowed for a foul by both players, and once again, I can sort of understand why that was done, but I don't know if a drop ball's a fair way. I don't know, maybe you could give like a high ball. I just don't know what you would do. There has to be some other alternative, I believe. Looking at sort of the other moments in this game that were crucial in that first half, Burnley started to have more of a go and it was really causing them problems, and I was quite happy to see, I think Scott Parker got the message across, just get into half time, we can't go 2-0 down, otherwise we're out of this game. And that was really my feeling for the whole game. If United can find a second, then the game's over. If United only keep it sort of one in front, Burnley will always still be in that game, and that's sort of what we started to see. Burnley obviously scoring the first goal of the second half through Lyle Foster. I can't quite believe Lyle Foster scored a goal in the Premier League, considering how shit he was in the Championship. The link-up play was quite good from him, and the finish was also brilliant. Obviously, United responded immediately. I mean, Scott Parker must be absolutely spewing. Those two managers, Scott Parker and Ruben Amorim, I think were probably just talking to each other on the side like, mate, we are both unbelievably shit. Like, it was that sort of game. The goal was just such a relegation game goal, and I go back to the sort of feeling of, it did have this feeling of desperation from both sides at points in this match. Jadon Anthony scored the second equaliser for Burnley, and it was such a crap goal from a United perspective to concede. It's just shit from Bienda again. I just can't understand how United haven't signed a keeper this summer. It's just so weird. Why would you not sign a keeper when you've got this fraud and goal? You've got a striker, two mid-tens, but you still haven't bothered to just change the one thing that I think everyone saw as a glaring problem this whole summer: the keeper. The midfield, the keeper, and the striker were the three, and then I think the tens were important, but they had players like Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, and Joshua Zirkzee who can all play in there. And even with a striker, why have you got Benjamin Sesko in the club if you're bringing on Joshua Zirkzee for him? I understand he wanted to keep the fluidity that was working well with Matheus Cunha, but you've got to use your £75 million signing against Burnley, because you've got to get some confidence into him somehow. And also, he's got a great leap, which that's going to get you out of relegation, lads. You'll be all right. He's got a massive leap. Moving on to the goal that they say saved Ruben Amorim's job, I'm not so sure. I think it saved Ruben Amorim from walking. I genuinely think if that goal doesn't happen, Ruben Amorim starts to consider, should I be walking from this because it's causing me too much stress. That's what appears to me from outside. Look, I might be wrong. Maybe Ruben Amorim is actually not as unhappy as it appears at the club. But from everything he's saying, he seems to be absolutely hating it at Manchester United. Do I actually think this was a penalty that Bruno Fernandes converted? No. I just don't understand the shirt pulling rule because we've seen it hundreds of times this happen, and especially considering the ball's nowhere near him, and that seems to always be the adjustment. It's like if it's quite near him, I can understand him, but when it's like this, I don't understand how they've given it based off other decisions that have previously been done. I also think it was outside the box. I actually think that the initial contact was outside the box. Ahmed's felt the shirt pull. He's waited until he's inside and then gone down and won the penalty. So in my opinion, that isn't a penalty. Finally, just my thoughts from a Burnley perspective. I think you were pretty unlucky not to get a point today. If there's any Burnley fans out there, please let me know. Do you disagree? Do you think you played well? Do you think you played shit? I actually thought you played well. I think considering that you're going away to a place like that, even though we are going, United might be in a relegation battle, it is still going away to Old Trafford. It's going to be difficult. And I thought you played well for most of the game. There were points where you gave United too many opportunities, but that's because you were trying to win the game. And I respect that. You tried to get out more than I really expected you to do. I thought you were going to really sit in and then sort of wait until the 80th minute. That approach may have got you a point, but I think what you have done is you've given some real belief to probably you guys, the fans, but also the players that maybe we can actually stay up in this division. Because I really wrote you off at the start of the season, and I said this will be one of the easiest predictions of the year. Burnley will finish 20th, and they'll probably come up in second or third through the playoffs in the championship next year. Anyway, if you enjoyed what you see, please like and subscribe and support the channel.